Welcome to Paranormal Nightfall. The Bell Witch Haunting. Nestled in the secluded hills of Tennessee, John Bell was a prosperous farmer and landowner in Red River. John and his family lived a quiet life. They would farm the land, spend time together, and enjoy the serene surroundings of Tennessee's hill country. It was the early 1800s when John and his family's lives would be turned upside down by supernatural occurrences, so horrifying that the story of the Bell Witch would be told for years to come. It was in the fall of 1817 when the haunting started. Paranormal occurrences began as the family heard noises that defied any rational explanation. It started with knocking sounds on the walls and doors of their log house. These were followed by the sounds of rats gnawing, but there were none to be found. Over the course the following days, the events became increasingly violent. They focused on the Bell's youngest daughter, Betsy. An invisible force would pull her hair and pinch her. The activity escalated with the entity slapping her face. Blankets were yanked from beds and Betsy's screams echoed through the night. With attacks on his daughter becoming more frequent, and other family members having their own experiences, including being kicked and scratched, John knew he needed to do something. The family's experiences caused many sleepless nights from not knowing what would come next. Although initially writing off the occurrences, John could no longer ignore what was happening. He knew he needed to do something. Desperate, John confided in a close friend, James Johnston. James and his wife agreed to stay overnight to witness these bewildering claims themselves. The first night, they experienced the same terrifying disturbances firsthand. It became evident to them and the family that something malevolent was at work, far beyond comprehension. The phenomena soon evolved to include eerie voices that were initially faint but grew to louder with violent threats, particularly against John. The entity repeatedly condemned him to death. The voice claimed to be a witch and said it was Kate Batts, a neighbor. John had a land dispute with her, creating conflict, so he didn't believe it was out of the question for Kate to be the source. Word spread and the community came to call Kate the Bell Witch. The entity continued its reign of terror, exhibiting an intelligence and cruelty in equal measure. It sang hymns, quoted scripture, carried on intelligent conversations, and once even described British troop movements half a world away in great detail. The details of the British troop movements would later be confirmed. The stories of the Bell Witch quickly spread beyond the confines of the local community, attracting the curious from all over. It was said that even General Andrew Jackson took an interest and visited the Bells. According to the legend, as Jackson and some of his men approached in his wagon, it suddenly stopped. It became stuck by an invisible force. Jackson would later say, "By the Eternal, boys, it is the witch." Shortly thereafter, a metallic voice assured him of passage and the journey continued. But further disturbances would plague them. As the years passed, the entity's focus remained on John Bell and his daughter Betsy. John's health declined. The witch claimed responsibility and foretold of his imminent death. In December of 1820, John Bell was found lifeless in his bed. A small vial of a strange liquid near him. The witch immediately took credit for his death and claimed to have given him the vial. Following his passing, the activity around the farm and the attacks on Betsy decreased. But the witch was not done. She made one final prediction. She would return in 7 years' time. 7 years later she did just that. In 1828 she reappeared and began haunting John's son, John Bell Jr. But this time, instead of haunting him, it held discussions with John Jr. It spoke of the Civil War and other significant events. These conversations were reportedly less malevolent. After just a few weeks the entity disappeared, but first vowing to come back in 1935 and haunt John's direct descendants. However, no stories of paranormal events were ever found. To this day, the story of the Bell Witch haunting remains one of America's most famous paranormal encounters. It's a chilling tale of an unseen force capable of intelligent interaction, physical violence, and a prophetic knowledge of the future. The haunting has been the subject of countless articles, books, and movies, each attempting to unravel the mystery of what happened on the small Tennessee farm. Was it a malevolent spirit, a case of mass hysteria, mental illness, or perhaps something else entirely? The truth remains as elusive as the witch itself. It's a mystery that may never be solved. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content like this.